Welcome. Today we're looking at a brand new study published in JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. The question it asks might surprise you. Are teenagers turning to AI chatbots like ChatGPT to get help with their mental health? The short answer is yes, and in larger numbers than most people realize. In the next few minutes, we'll walk through what the research found, who's doing it, and what parents and doctors should know. Before we get to the findings, let's set the scene. American teenagers are facing a genuine mental health crisis. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in young people. 1 in 5 high schoolers seriously considered suicide in 2023. Depression and anxiety are extremely common. And here's the frustrating part. Almost half of teens who need help never actually receive mental health services. At the same time, AI chatbots have exploded in popularity. Nearly 2/3 of teens have used one. Over a quarter use them daily. So when you put those two facts together, a mental health crisis and a technology that's free, anonymous, and available at any hour, you have to ask, are teenagers going to AI for help with their feelings? This study was published in JAMA Pediatrics in June 2026, one of the most credible medical journals in the field. It was funded by the U.S. National Institute of Mental Health. The researchers surveyed a nationally representative sample, meaning the results reflect the whole country. They studied over 42 million young Americans aged 12 to 21. They asked whether those teenagers had ever used AI chatbots for mental health advice, how often, whether it helped, and critically, whether they told anyone about it. This is the headline finding. 1 in 5 American teenagers and young adults, roughly 8.2 million people, has used an AI chatbot to get advice about their mental health. Just 1 year ago, that number was 1 in 8. That's a nearly 50% jump in 12 months. This is not a niche behavior. For context, the proportion of teens using AI for mental health is now approximately equal to the proportion currently receiving formal counseling from a mental health professional. The scale here is genuinely significant, and it's growing fast. Let's look more closely at how often teens are using AI for mental health and whether they find it helpful. Among those who have used AI chatbots this way, over 40% do so at least once a month, and about 6% use it daily or almost daily. That's a significant level of regular engagement. When teens were asked if the advice was helpful, 91.7% said yes. On the surface, that sounds reassuring, but there's a critical caveat. Researchers warn that AI chatbots are often sycophantic, meaning they tend to agree with what you say and tell you what you want to hear, rather than providing honest, clinically sound guidance. So high satisfaction ratings should be interpreted carefully. So who is most likely to use AI for mental health advice? 3 groups stood out. First, girls and young women. They were twice as likely as boys to use AI this way. They have higher rates of anxiety and depression and may find it easier to open up to an AI without fear of judgment. Second, older teens and young adults aged 18 to 21. They were 3.6 times more likely than the youngest group. More phone independence, less parental oversight. Third, and this is a nuanced finding, teens who had already spoken to a physician about mental health were nearly twice as likely to also use AI chatbots. So for many teenagers, AI is not replacing professional care. It's filling the gaps, late at night, between appointments, when no one else is available. This is arguably the most important finding in the entire study. Among the roughly 8 million teens using AI chatbots for mental health advice, almost 2/3, 63%, have never told anyone about it. Not a friend, not a parent, not a teacher, not a doctor. This matters for several reasons. If a teenager is getting advice from an AI that turns out to be inaccurate or even harmful, and no adult knows about it, there's no one to step in. If a teenager is talking to an AI at midnight about feeling hopeless, their doctor sees them a week later with no idea that happened. The few who did tell someone were more likely to tell a friend than a trusted adult. Only 16% had shared it with a parent, teacher, or physician. This silence is where the real risk lives. So, how should we feel about all of this? AI chatbots offer something genuinely valuable. They're available at any hour, free, and anonymous. For a teenager too embarrassed to talk to a parent, or one who doesn't have access to a therapist, talking to an AI might provide real relief. It might help them identify their feelings or build the courage to seek professional help. On the other hand, AI chatbots are not therapists. They have no clinical training, no license, no accountability. They're notorious for being overly agreeable, validating whatever the teen says, rather than providing honest, evidence-based guidance. For teens with serious depression, suicidal thoughts, or complex anxiety, AI advice is genuinely dangerous if it substitutes for real care. And since most teens don't tell anyone, there's no adult safety net. So, what should we actually do? The answer is not to ban AI chatbots or to panic. The answer is to talk about it, openly and without alarm. For parents, start the conversation. Ask your teenager directly if they've used AI to talk about their feelings. Frame it as curiosity, not a confrontation. Let them know you're not going to take their phone away. You just want to understand how they're getting support and make sure they're safe. For doctors and clinicians, make AI chatbot use part of your routine mental health assessment. Ask about it the same way you ask about sleep or diet. Understand what teens are being told and help correct any gaps or misconceptions. For educators, bring AI literacy into health class. Teenagers are already using these tools. The goal is to make sure they do it with awareness of its real limitations. Let's close with the core message. AI chatbots are not going away. They're already woven into the daily lives of millions of American teenagers. And for mental health, they're being used, often silently, alone, and without any adult knowing about it. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to act. Parents, ask the question. Doctors, make it part of your routine. Educators, bring it into the classroom. The teenagers who need help the most are already reaching out, just not always to the people around them. Let's make sure they know they can. Thank you for watching.